Good afternoon, children. Yesterday, I started with our 7th lesson, Human Reproduction, and under the topic Male Reproductive System, various technical terms were discussed and the microscopic anatomy of testes, various layers, their names and their functions. The diagrams that I had explained and are important for you to practice are the longitudinal section of the testes, then the transverse section of the testis showing seminiferous tubules, the cells of Sertoli, these how they are attached or giving nutrition to the developing sperms or spermatozoa, right? So these were the main diagrams to be discussed. After that, various technical terms were discussed, positions, numbers and functions of accessory glands were discussed, and a very important diagram along with the description that was taken was structure of sperm or spermatozoa. This is very frequently asked in the council exam to draw, and the markings are direct, as many as 4 to 5 marks. You should be very well able to explain and draw the same. So today we will start with the female reproductive system and the microscopic anatomy of ovary. The female reproductive system, if you remember this diagram because you have studied in class 10th, so let us begin. The female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries. You can see there is a left and a right ovary. Then a pair of tubes, what we call as the fallopian tubes or the oviducts. Then a uterus, vagina and the external genitalia or the vulva. There are accessory glands called as Bartholin's glands and mammary glands that will be discussed in the section. Let us begin with the first point. I have decided to take up points like under 6 headings: ovary, fallopian tubes, uterus, vagina, vulva and the accessory glands. Ovary, when we talk about, these are a pair, left and right ones, almond shaped, grayish pink in color, and they measure around 2 to 4 centimeters in length and 1.5 centimeters in the width. Now talking about the section of ovary, just like testes, they had exocrine plus endocrine function. That is, as exocrine, they secreted sperms, and as endocrine, they secreted the hormones, that is the testosterone. Similarly, ovary is also having an endocrine plus exocrine function. As an exocrine function, it produces ova or eggs, whereas the endocrine function of the ovary is to produce the hormones, the estrogens and the progesterone. Looking at this diagram, another very important diagram to study, the section of ovary in the section here shows different phases of oogenesis or the formation of eggs. This is a transverse section, children. Again, you should be familiar with the layers, labeling and the functions. 3 layers are seen here. The outermost layer is what we call as the ovarian or the germinal epithelium. This outermost layer of the ovary is called as the ovarian or germinal epithelium. And this is made up of simple cuboidal cells. Cuboidal means shaped like a cube. The second layer to come under ovarian or germinal epithelium is the layer what we call as tunica albuginea. The second layer is tunica albuginea, which lies below the ovarian epithelium. This is a dense fibrous connective tissue. Alright. So the next layer we talk about, the next layer here would be stroma. This is here. You can see this. The third layer to study, or the third part of the ovary, is stroma, and this consists of 2 parts. Outer part, which we call as the cortex, and the inner part, which is called as medulla. Once again, children, we are studying the transverse section of ovary, and in the microscopic anatomy, ovary is a solid structure. In the transverse section shows 3 layers, outermost called ovarian or the germinal epithelium, made up of cuboidal cells. Then the second is tunica albuginea. Here it is not labeled anywhere, but you have to understand that this is below the ovarian germinal epithelium. The third layer is stroma, which is in 2 parts. We can call it the outer ovarian cortex and the inner ovarian medulla. Now stroma or the outer cortex is more dense and medulla is lesser dense, and it is the inner part. Then ovarian cortex contains young and mature follicles. Follicle, what is it? When the egg is surrounded or the ovum is surrounded by some layers of follicle cells, the egg is now called as follicle, right? So this is what you have to understand. Follicle, every time when you say, it means that the ovum is surrounded by the layers of follicle cells. So if you see the outer region, try to see the cortex layer only. What you will see is young and mature. Like see these ones, they are young, then these are mature ones of the follicles. Then what else is seen is a mass of yellow cells. You can see this corpus luteum. In the cortex part only this is present, corpus luteum, and this is made up of the we can say the remains of the follicle. See, once the egg is released or the ovum is released after maturation, the release of the ovum we call as ovulation. So the remaining part is a yellow mass, a large mass of yellow cells. We call it as corpus luteum. But this is not a waste, because corpus luteum secretes 2 hormones. Number 1 is progesterone, which is secreted by corpus luteum, and this is secreted during pregnancy. The other hormone that is released by corpus luteum is towards the end of pregnancy period. We call it as relaxin, and the name tells that this is to relax the uterus muscles for the childbirth. So that was about the corpus luteum. And the next structure to be seen in the cortex region is corpus albicans. Another word coming, corpus albicans. See, albicans, the word itself hints a white color. So this is a white body and it represents the degenerating corpus luteum. So that completes the cortex. Once again, before I start the medulla, in cortex, you have to understand this is the outer part of the stroma region. 3 layers I told you. Number 1, ovarian epithelium. Second was the tunica albuginea, which is poorly differentiated. And third is stroma in 2 regions, outer cortex and inner medulla. So cortex, what all things we are discussing? Number 1, that there are young and mature follicles at various stages of development. Second, what we can see is a mass of yellow cells called corpus luteum, which secretes 2 hormones, progesterone during pregnancy and relaxin at the end of pregnancy period. Then also what is seen in the outer part, that is cortex here, is the corpus albicans, and this is nothing but the degenerating corpus luteum. Now we come to the inner part, that is medulla region, and here we can see many rounded bodies called follicles. Follicle, what I said, is an egg or ovum surrounded by some follicle cells, right? So in the inner part we can see various follicles which are found in different stages of development, right? We can see here. Then each follicle contains a large ovum here surrounded by many layers. So these follicle cells, they are in many layers around the ovum. Then the follicle cells of a maturing follicle secretes estrogens, another female hormone. So who is secreting these? The follicle cells of a maturing follicle. So this is the birthplace of the other hormone, that is estrogens. So I hope this is very clear, children. Now let us take some technical terms before we move further to the other part, that is fallopian tube. There are 2 terms to revise because we have discussed these in our previous classes, menarche and menopause. Menarche is the appearance of the first menstrual cycle, and this is seen in a girl at a stage of 11 to 13 years. So, when we talk about menarche, we can say that the girl's body is now ready to bear children, right? So, this is the onset of the menstrual flow. That is the first menstrual flow in a girl's body. Then just the opposite, menopause. Pause means to stop. So this is a permanent cessation or stoppage of menstrual cycle at a stage of 45 to 50 years, after which a female cannot become pregnant. Coming next to another term, mesovarium. Mesovarium is a mesentery by which ovary is suspended from the dorsal wall. Once again, mesovarium is a mesentery by which ovary is suspended from the dorsal wall. Corpus luteum, just now I told you, this is the large mass of yellow cells formed in the cavity. The cavity we call as antrum of the ruptured Graafian follicle. Ruptured means the follicle by which the egg is released, and the remainder will be forming the corpus luteum. So, corpus luteum formed in the cavity or antrum of ruptured Graafian follicle after release of ovum. Coming next is the corpus albicans. As I told you, this is a white body and present in the ovarian cortex, which represents the degenerating corpus luteum. So till here is the microscopic anatomy of the ovary. Coming to the next part, we'll discuss about the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube or the oviduct. This region is some 10 to 12 centimeters long, and it shows 4 parts. Number 1, infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus, and the uterine part. So if we talk from here, this entire tube is the oviduct. The portion which is like a broad funnel shaped area, this portion bearing the fimbriae or these finger-like structures is what we call as the infundibulum. Then ampulla is the second region, which is long, wide, thin-walled portion. Coming next is the third region. You can see isthmus, which is a narrow tube, short and thick-walled. And finally, the last one is the uterine part, which passes through the uterine wall and opens into the uterus. So once again, there are 4 portions of oviduct. The first is infundibulum, which ends up in fimbriae. Second, ampulla. Third, isthmus. And the fourth is the uterine part, which opens into the uterus. Now, when we talk of the ovum and the fertilization of it, the actual site of fertilization is the ampulla-isthmus junction. In other words, if we talk about the junction, then this is the place where these are meeting, and it is exactly somewhere here, the ampulla and isthmus junction or the union. So this is the place where the human egg gets fertilized and nowhere else. Alright, then we move on to the next layer here, the next region. See, I told you we have divided it into points. I have discussed the ovary, then the fallopian tube or the uterus or the oviduct. Now coming to the uterus or the womb. Uterus we know as a region like this. This is the uterus, you can see, right? Now it shows 4 parts. Before we come to the 4 parts, the shape of uterus is hollow and inverted pear-shaped with thick muscular wall, and there are 4 regions to study. Number 1, fundus, 2, cornua, 3, body or corpus, and 4th is cervix. So fundus is the portion that receives fallopian tube, and this is the wide upper dome shaped area. This is the fundus. So what is fundus? It is receiving the fallopian tube. You can see one side oviduct or fallopian tube, and this is the other. And this is dome shaped like a dome, and the upper wide area. Coming to the second region is the cornua. This is the cornua region, and this is like the upper corner where the oviduct is entering the uterus. The third comes like the body, right? The main part or the corpus of the uterus. Here you can see this is the corpus or the body, and the fourth part of the uterus is the lower narrow part called as the cervix, and this projects into the vagina. So these are the four layers or four parts of the, not layers, but four parts of the uterus. What is the function of uterus? The function of uterus is to receive ovum from fallopian tube and also to form placenta for fetus attachment. So not only will it receive, see here, the ovum after being discharged from the ovary by the process of ovulation will be picked up by the fimbriae, travels the oviduct and will be released in the uterus. So this receives the ovum from fallopian tube, and also in times of pregnancy period it will form the placenta for fetus attachment. And thirdly, the uterus only expels the baby at the birth time. Then coming to three walls of uterus. These were four parts of uterus. Now coming to three layers of wall. The outermost is called as perimetrium. It's a thin covering. The middle is a thick layer called myometrium. And the innermost is the endometrium, which is a glandular layer. And this lines the uterine cavity. During the menstrual flow, it is the endometrium only that is shed. Alright. So this is all about the uterus. Till now, children, from the beginning, today I have started with the female reproductive system. We are going point-wise under these headings, and we are mainly talking about the internal structure of ovary, and this diagram about the TS is very, very important for you to identify the labelings, and you should be able to draw it when asked. The same is in a part of your practical portion for spotting. So this diagram is a must for you to practice and label very nicely. Then, according to the point-wise description here, now we come to the next region of the female reproductive system, the vagina. Vagina is a fibromuscular tube, and this measures about 7.5 to 10 centimeters. The opening of vagina is called as vaginal orifice, and it is bounded by a membrane or a fold of mucosa. We call it as hymen. Hymen also represents the virgin knot. Then comes the next fifth point here, the genitalia or the vulva. The vulva of female consists of four parts: mons pubis, labia majora or the large lips, labia minora or the small lips, clitoris and hymen. So we'll talk about five parts, not four but five parts under genitalia. Mons pubis is a cushion of fatty tissue, and labia majora or the large lips, they are on the either side of vagina. Then the small lips or the labia minora, they are equivalent to the male scrotum. They are devoid of or we can say they are devoid of hair and sweat glands, but they are very rich in sebaceous glands. Then clitoris is a erectile and highly sensitive organ equivalent to the male copulatory organ, that is penis. And hymen is a thin membranous diaphragm which is present at the vaginal opening, and also it is called as the virgin knot. Coming to the accessory glands, first is Bartholin's gland or vestibular glands. These glands are bean shaped, right? They are two in number, bean shaped, and on either side of the vaginal opening or the orifice, they secrete an alkaline fluid. It's a clear alkaline fluid under sexual excitement. The second in the accessory comes as the mammary glands. Here, there are terms to understand like the erectile nipple, which is surrounded by the circular dark and pigmented areola. Then there are the different types and many glandular or alveoli, secretory alveoli. They secrete the milk which passes on by the ducts, and it is collected in the mammary duct to be secreted out. So there are as many as some 15 to 20 mammary lobes which are separated by the adipose tissue. So this is all about the female parts here, reproductive parts. Before I sum up and come to the structure of ovum, let us quickly revise. We have done under 6 headings: the female reproductive system, ovary, fallopian tube, uterus or the womb, vagina, genitalia or the vulva, and accessory glands, the Bartholin's and also the mammary glands. Then the last topic for today is the structure of an ovum or ooted. The development will be the next video. Today we'll only talk about the structure. So children, before we move further, the diagrams for you to familiarize yourself is the front view of the female reproductive system and the transverse section of ovary. Not only is this important in theory but also practical, as this is in the spotting. So it can be asked, and it is a very favorite question in your bio paper. So let us talk about the structure of an ovum. Here, the same diagram I've tried to show you by this. So ovum is a haploid gamete. We know that the chromosome number is half the normal cell. The ovum varies in different animals. We are talking of the human ovum this time just now. But the largest egg is known of an ostrich, and the human egg is around 100 μm in size. There's some characteristics of human egg. First, alecithal. Alecithal means it is without the yolk. Devoid means without the yolk, but it has abundant cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is in good quantity, a central located nucleus. Then the layers to study: it is surrounded by a transparent membrane from outside. If you talk about, right, it is zona pellucida, which is a transparent non-cellular layer, right? Then, and outside to this zona pellucida is a series of some cells of corona radiata, which are formed of follicular cells. Same follicle, children. Just now I was telling you the follicle cells which surround the ovum. So we call it as corona radiata. They are just like the crown or the radiating rays, and they are the same follicle cells. So coming next is a transparent non-cellular layer or the zona pellucida. Then next is a blue colored region. This blue colored region is called as the perivitelline space. See, actually vitelline membrane is the innermost cell membrane or the vitelline membrane. So the region between vitelline membrane and zona pellucida is perivitelline space. Once again, to begin, outermost, these are purple layered corona radiata, which are formed of follicle cells. Then a transparent region which is non-cellular, zona pellucida. Then comes a space what we call as the perivitelline space, and finally the innermost, this lining, which we call as cell membrane or vitelline membrane. So this perivitelline space is the region between vitelline membrane and the zona pellucida. Alright, now two more things to understand. I told you already that they have abundant cytoplasm, a central nucleus. There are two things more to study here: animal pole and the vegetal pole. There is a side, the side of the ovum, which extrudes or gives out the polar bodies. Now what are polar bodies? We'll study during the process of gametogenesis in our next video. So you can just understand whatever, there are some polar bodies to be given out from the ovary. The side, suppose this side is giving out the polar bodies, then this becomes the animal pole. And the side which is opposite to the animal pole becomes the vegetal pole. Remember children, animal pole is the main area or the main side which is extruding or giving out the polar bodies. What are polar bodies? How are they formed? What will be their fate? Will be discussed in the process of gametogenesis in our next video. So this is all for just now children. 3 pages I have discussed for today. We have completed the female reproductive system, terms especially like menarche, menopause, corpus luteum, corpus albicans, uterus, the main parts, 3 layers, and most importantly children here, the internal structure or the microscopic anatomy of ovary. Finally, the structure of the ovum. So today's diagram for you to practice are: number 1, the TS of ovary, which is extremely important, I told you. The second is this, the front view of female reproductive system. And the third is this diagram of an ovum or ooted In your book, it is at page number 115. You should be able to explain this and also draw it and label well. In the next video, I'll be posting tomorrow on gametogenesis one by one, first in the male part and then in female part along with hormone action. So that's all for just now, children. 3 pages I am sending. See that you make your notes regularly, because every day we'll have to be regular with our learning and written part. Otherwise, you will really miss. Right? So ask any queries whatsoever you have, children. And that's all for just now. Thank you.